Right. Hey there. My name is Bill Norton. I'm going to present a video on a recent build of 6mm Hornady ARC, the Advanced Rifle Cartridge, on an AR platform. I have three objectives in mind. I'm going to tell you the impetus, the reason I started this project, and I'll take you through the decisions I made and some of the errors that I made I was able to resolve. And then I'll talk about the limitations, the things I haven't yet been able to accomplish. I have no way of knowing how long this video will be. It will not be 3 or 4 minutes. I will promise you two things. The content will be high quality, and the presentation will be competent. So I have an idea before I launch. That idea is just that, it's a suggestion. Since I don't know the duration of the video, pause it, grab a beverage, maybe some note paper. It's possible that you will see or hear things that you want to capture and reflect on. But I'm going to launch, so I think I'm as prepared as I can be. The impetus is pretty straightforward. In fact, it's almost, I almost backed into it. Earlier this year, I'm recording this on 18 August 2021. In March of this year, I placed an order with Daniel Defense because I wanted a complete upper. I wasn't changing calibers, applications, I just wanted redundancy. I wanted to be able to put an upper on a lower, push 2 receiver pins, and go back to rock and roll. So placed an order with DD. Just a few days later, I got a very gracious email from whomever deals with marketing or customer service, and they told me that they were in a difficult place, that all of their resources were going to complete guns, and they couldn't currently fill an order for parts, accessories, things like that. And of course I understand that, but it was gracious. So at about the very time I was denied this upper from Daniel Defense, I was reading an article. I'm probably a 35 or 40 year life member of the NRA, and the journal to which I subscribe is Shooting Illustrated, and there was an article done by one of their editors, very competently done, that talked about the 15 SAAMI approved cartridges that are available in the AR platform. So I just read it with casual interest, and each of the 15 cartridges had a brief description and application and stuff like that, and there were a number of comparisons. And as I read the article, I realized that of these 15 cartridges, on every dimension that mattered to me, the 6ARC shined. It outperformed everybody else. Now, as I learned about this cartridge, the thing that appealed to me was it has much more power, more terminal energy, and much more reach than an AR-15 in a 5.56 chambering. I have a great deal of experience with that gun. I have been in the crucible of combat with it, and I will promise you, a 5.56 in an AR platform is a 200-yard rifle. It's not potent. We don't have any range finding capability. We don't know exterior ballistics. We don't have kestrels to measure wind. If it hit a target at 600 yards, it wouldn't have enough energy to penetrate a shirt. So the Army, for 50 years, has been looking for a replacement for the 5.56, and they haven't yet found one. But my understanding is DoD, Department of Defense, went to Hornady and said, would you develop a cartridge that will fit in a mil-spec AR-15? Don't make it bigger, bulkier, heavier. We're not looking for an AR-10. It has to fit dimensionally in a mil-spec AR-15 platform, but will give us more power, more terminal energy, and greater reach, longer effective range. So Hornady developed the 6mm advanced rifle cartridge. Right now, some unit in the Special Operations Command is evaluating that cartridge in the field, and of course I don't know what will happen. My sense is that it will still be superb in an assault role if you do have to do anything, CQB, dynamic entry, room clearing. It'll be great in an assault role, which means you could put a holographic sight like an EOTech on it or something. But for every squad, if the Army adopted this, they could have someone as a designated marksman in the squad, and that rifleman could have a higher quality optic that would permit reach. So a lot of virtue to it, and interestingly, for those of you that are outdoorsmen, the 6mm cartridge is a superb cartridge for thin-skinned game under 300 pounds. Muley, whitetail, pronghorn, that's vermin, that kind of thing. And honest to gosh, because of its capabilities, the cartridge design, the propellants, that sort of stuff, in a gas gun limited to 52,000 copper units of pressure, the 6-ARC is a 1,000-yard rifle. Now I realize that nothing does everything well, but here we have a cartridge that has the potential to perform well in an assault role, that could be a long-range precision rifle, and also is capable for hunting. So I got kind of jacked up about the 6-ARC. And I did just the quickest search, and I discovered at the time, this would have been in March of 21, I discovered at the time that I could source complete uppers from Brownells. The day that I went there, they had uppers complete with bolt carrier groups with 16, 18, and 20-inch barrels. Now, I've read some stuff from the Hornady engineers. Since this cartridge may become adopted by the military, the cartridge is optimized for an 18-inch barrel. I chose a stainless steel 20 for my upper because I knew I was building a long-range precision rifle. So I simply want to take you through, now that you know my motive for doing this, I want to take you through the actual build and recognizing that I made some poor decisions early on, but I had the opportunity to correct them. So this is essentially the upper that I got from Brownells. I've done a couple of things to it, but they've been very, very modest. The first is I have a Daniel Defense Wave suppressor that is a 30 caliber cam. And what I've done is I put DD muzzle brakes on 3 of my other rifles. The suppressor lives on a long-range precision rifle chamber in 308. But I have a long rifle in 6.5 Creedmoor. I also have the same muzzle brake on one of my V11s, one of my 5.56 guns. It's my go-to-war AR. And now I have the same muzzle brake on this barrel. It comes with a 20-inch stainless steel barrel in this configuration. I simply took the proprietary brake off and put a DD muzzle brake on so I could use the DD Wave suppressor. Now, I did one other thing that I think is consequential. This is a preference. You don't have to go down the same road I did. I have literally more than half a century's experience with this platform. Since I've left active duty in the Army, every bolt carrier group that I have for an AR rifle is plated. I used to use Robar in Arizona. The company was sold. I found a plater in Tennessee that does business. It's a pseudo acronym. I think it's CCR. I'm sure it means for something. CCR like Creedence Clearwater Revival, Charlie Charlie Romeo, but a Tennessee-based plater that plates the bolt carrier groups. And of course, the reason I do that is you are bright people. You know that these direct impingement guns send a lot of gas and trash back to the bolt carrier group. Every time I shoot an AR, the BCG comes out, I clean it, lubricate it, put it back in. So they run. Now, I didn't have to put that brake on, and I didn't have to do this. So let me show you the money piece of this. I have no industry contacts, I have no patrons, no supporters, I write checks. So when I bought this from Brownells, delivered to my home, this upper was $842. I know this is pretty fancy stuff. The upper was $842. And I'll talk about the bolt carrier group. Plating the bolt carrier group was $160. And I have a little thing in here for the muzzle brake, and I regret that it's out of order. The muzzle brake, forgive me, was $132. So, $894 delivered to my home. I made 2, in my view, meaningful upgrades. I plated the bolt carrier group, and I replaced the muzzle brake with one that accommodates my QD suppressor from Daniel Defense. So, here's the upper. Now, my original thought, I shared with you at the start of this that I was just going to slap it on an AR lower, a 5.56 lower. But as I was reading about the 6mm arc, I realized 2 things. The first is it has a recoil impulse that's roughly double the 5.56. It's very modest. A 5.56 in a normal carbine is about a 4-pound recoil impulse. This is about 7.5. So I reached out to engineers and friends who work at CMMG, Aero Precision, and Daniel Defense, and I got sort of a consensus. And the consensus broadly was that It should be put on a lower with a rifle length tube and a rifle weight buffer, not one that's meant for carbine. I want to mention this because I think it's useful. Well, I'll get to it later. So the point is, I was just going to slap this on a 5.56 lower, and then I realized, my gosh, if I don't get a different buffer group and a different extension tube length, I may adversely alter the cycling of the gun. Can't know until you do it, but I listened to brighter people than me. The other thing that was an immediate decision, and this is one I made before I received the upper, I knew that I was building this gun as a long-range precision rifle. What that meant is I was not going to put a holographic sight on it. I wasn't going to put a patrol scope. I was going to put a long-range precision scope on it. Well, they have big bells, don't they? The one I chose has a 50 millimeter objective bell, much bigger than like a patrol scope might have, like a 24-inch objective lens. So I thought, my goodness, I need a lower with a rifle length buffer group and extension tube, and I need to have an adjustable comb, because if I'm putting a big scope on the receiver, that means I need to have relatively high clearance above the center line of the bore, and I have to have an adjustable comb. So before I got the upper at my home, I went to Gunbroker because I couldn't find any direct. I went to Gunbroker and I found a shop in Oklahoma, I think, that had a complete Aero Precision lower that was that had the extension tube, buffer group, but no stock. And I thought, well, hallelujah. So, ordered the lower, delivered to my FFL. The lower was $333. Now, when I bought the lower, it only came the complete lower receiver. It did have a pistol grip, I replaced it, but it had just the rifle length extension tube and buffer group. Knowing that I had a big objective bell on my scope and they needed an adjustable comb, I ordered a PRS buttstock from Magpul. I have this very stock on one of my other long rifles. I'm well pleased with it. It's sturdy, it's easily adjustable, it's bulletproof, and of course I can adjust both length of pull and pitch and comb height. So this solved two problems. Getting a rifle length lower with a rifle length buffer group permitted me to put on a buttstock with an adjustable comb. Length of pull probably was less critical, but comb height was a very big deal. So together, if I didn't put this up, the PRS was $275, again, delivered to my home. Now, there is one other thing that I did to the lower. I should have mentioned it before I started. These Aero Precision rifles, in my view, are quite excellent. This is my first experience with them. I've helped a younger friend build one, and he had a similar outcome. Just high quality everything. High quality design, materials, manufacture. Superb, superb rifle. I bought them separately. The upper from Brownells and the lower from a gun shop in Oklahoma. But I have an Aero Precision M4 in my hands. And of course it's mil-spec. Now, because this is a long-range precision rifle, this mil-spec gun comes with a single-stage mil-spec trigger. Well, they're junky, aren't they? They creep, they stack, they don't break clean. I don't like mil-spec triggers. Every AR that I own has some variation of a Geissele SSA trigger in it. Because this was a long-range precision rifle, I chose a Geissele SSA-E, Echo is the last letter, and it means enhanced. And the short version is it's a two-stage trigger, so there's a take-up that's pretty noticeable, and then once it hits the wall, it breaks at about 9/10 of a pound. Oh my goodness. If you want to do precise work at a distance, this is magnificent. The fact that it's two-stage, the fact that I can take it up and then break the shot, it's a very big deal. So the Geissele SSA, purchased direct, delivered to my home, $252. Now, oh gosh, I am missing something, and that's my, well, heck. We will go on. Complete rifle, and the complete rifle was $22.94. I have a sticker here. $2,294 for the complete rifle, as you see it. PRS buttstock, Geisley trigger, different aftermarket muzzle brake. So $2,300 for this rifle as you see it. Now, my decision for an optic was pretty straightforward. I have two other long guns. I have a .308 long-range precision rifle that has a Nightforce ATAC-R on it, and I have a custom long-range rifle built by a superb rifle builder in Swainsboro, Georgia, named Larry Archer. Larry Archer's rifle has a proprietary bolt action of his. Mine has a Krieger barrel. It has a TriggerTech trigger. I had him mount it in an MPA chassis. The rifle holds, I can put 5 rounds into a 1/4 of an inch at 100 yards every day. And that's the gun, that's not me. Now I want to point out that a 1/4 of an inch is, from a decimal perspective, is 0.25, and a 6.5 millimeter bullet is 0.264. So that rifle, its potential is to literally pile 5 rounds into the same hole. And we shot at 1,000 yards, 4 groups. The first one was 3.2 inches. The other 3 were sub 3 inches at 1,000 yards. So when Larry Archer builds a rifle and develops a load, you get significant benefit from it. Now, so I have a Nightforce ATAC-R in the .308 and a Kalis 5x25i on the 6.5 Creedmoor. They're both bolt guns. They're both chassis guns. This is a gas gun. I knew that ballistically, that with a 20-inch barrel, I could achieve supersonic impact at 1,000 yards. This gun does not go transonic until after 1,000 yards. So here I have what is essentially an 8-pound AR-15 that is an honest 1,000-yard gun. However, because I was somewhat sensitive to weight, that kind of a thing, I didn't want to load it up with a big scope. My 2 scopes in the other long guns, as I said, are big. They have 56 millimeter bells. They're huge. So my choice was driven by my son's recommendation. My son is also an infantryman who's gone to war. And Zach had some experience with track optics in the last few years, and he's really had good experiences. So he turned me onto them, and here's what I discovered. I don't know Track's history. I haven't studied the company. The scopes are designed in the United States. They're manufactured in Japan. But there's something about these Track scopes that I want to share with you. I'm not selling anything. I'm just telling you what made me arrive at this decision. First, given the configuration of my objectives, I bought a 4x20x50 scope. They make bigger scopes, but I bought a 4x20 power by 50. This scope has all the features that my $3,500 scopes has, all of them. First focal plane reticle, superb glass, 0 set turrets, durability, everything. I mean, this is a magnificent scope. But my Kalis and my Nightforce were both $3,500 delivered to my home. This Track optic was $1,300, $1,294. So I get the same features, and it's 1/3 the cost. Now, there's another piece of this Track optic that I want to share with you. You will see that my movement quality is poor. I'm just coming out of back surgery, and the healing isn't there yet. So the other thing about this Track optic is, I told you full featured, but 1/3 the cost. The glass is from Germany. This is a shot glass, yes? S-H-O-T. If you and I put any beverage in the shot glass, the optical clarity tends to degrade pretty quickly, doesn't it? The Track scope uses shot glass that comes from Germany. And the reason I want to make this distinction is many of us have opinions and preferences and even well-informed judgments, but what engineers do with sport optics, like a rifle scope, is they measure light transmission. They literally shine a beam of light in the objective lens, and there's an instrument that measures it coming out the ocular lens. Shot glass delivers crystal clarity at like 99.8%. It is hands down the best in the world. Now, in fairness, there are some Japanese sport optics manufacturers that approach it. They do a very good job. But if we can objectively measure something and it consistently scores the highest, it's the best. That's what we're talking about. So And building a scope is a big deal. It's the quality of the glass, it's the way it is ground, it's the collimation, the way they're aligned, it's erector systems for magnification, it's coatings so the light isn't diffused or scattered. Building a good glass is a big undertaking. And when you and I walk into Walmart and we can get 4-power Tasco for $39.95, we know that not a lot of love went into it. But again, same features as $3,500 best-in-class glass, whether American or European, at a third the cost. So I chose the Track Optic, the 4x20x50. Now, it is mounted in a Nightforce Unimount. I've had great success with this mount. The mount is aluminum, the cross bolts are titanium. I just love it because if you look at the fact that it's offset, I can keep it on the receiver, but I can have whatever I need for eye relief and that sort of stuff. Now, this particular Nightforce Unimount measures 1.375 off the center line of the bore. They have shorter ones and they have taller ones. But it turns out I made a good call in the sense that the 1 3/8 inch rise gives me the clearance that I need. So I just want to put it back in place on the receiver. It should just take me a moment. And I'll torque it. I won't torque it yet, but now, with the scope back in place, clearly I added the Tenebrex covers. I'm kind of a big fan of Tenebrex covers because they're threaded on one end and there's a set screw, a pinch bolt on the other. So when they're in place, they don't roll. But the point is, you can look at the clearance above the rail. And of course, since I have an adjustable comb in this PRS thing, when I mount the gun, it is precisely where it needs to be. It's precisely where it needs to be for eye relief and precisely where it needs to be for eye height. So my choice for optic was a Track Optic in a Nightforce Unimount. And the Nightforce Unimount, I've shown you the track price. The Nightforce Unimount, I think I purchased from Optics Planet, was $281. Now, the only other things I've done is I've added just a few accessories. There is one thing, I have several Atlas bipods. I took this off another gun and replaced it on that gun with a Magpul bipod. I have a little notepad that says accessories, 2 1/4. I spent 2 1/4 on things like these adapter plates. This is a pick rail on top and it's M-LOK at 9, 6, and 3. So I put these adapter plates in there. I have 2, one for the bipod and one at the 9 o'clock rail for a sling. And again, I'm in a long range application. I don't think anybody, wait a minute. I don't think anybody's bipod is better than an Atlas. I've had lots. I've had Harris, Magpul, others, but I now have probably 5 or 6 Atlas bipods. So this bipod is $300. So, with the exception of a sling, and I for a rifle like this, clearly I want a sling. I'm a big fan of Blue Force Gear. Their Vickers sling was designed collaboratively with Larry Vickers, who's well known to the special operations community and the people at Blue Force Gear who are based in Greater Savannah. And it's just world-class stuff. So I'll slap it in and you'll see the complete rifle. So, this is the complete Aero Precision build on the AR-15 platform for rifle chambered in 6mm advanced rifle cartridge. Fabulous, fabulous cartridge. Now, the total build within a few bucks, I might have rounded this $5, was $39.40. I don't consider that a budget build, but I'm talking about a 9-pound gas rifle that is an honest 1,000-yard gun for precision. Pretty neat. So I want to talk to you briefly about limitations because there are things I haven't been able to accomplish. I was able to source every component for that rifle within just a few days in March of 21. It might have been a few days before they shipped to me, but everything came in quickly. And I've looked again recently because I have another friend who's contemplating a build like this. And my friend Vic has discovered that he can find everything he needs. Barrels, bullet carrier groups, whatever the case may be. So you can put the gun together right now. I've been able to find, in Factory ammunition, I have both Hornady Black and I have Hornady Match, the XLD Match. I scored 100 rounds. I paid stupid money for it because ammo's expensive right now. But when it comes to ammunition, you and I have precisely two choices. We buy the ammo or we don't shoot. Now, the dilemma that I face, and this is the only real limitation, the only work I've been able to do with this gun so far is with the Hornady factory ammo. And that is well. There's nothing bad about that. But it's 2021. I've been actively reloading since 1979. And with any rifle for which I've ever reloaded, I can always meaningfully improve on its accuracy. With factory ammo, as you see it, that is a 3/4 of an inch rifle. That would be acceptable for hunting, but not for long-range precision. I am convinced that I'll make it a 3/8 of an inch rifle, convinced of it. But the dilemma that I face is components are not available. I can't find unprimed brass. I'm on several wait lists, but that doesn't get it to my house. And the bullets that I would prefer to use are unavailable. The unprimed brass right now is only coming from Hornady, but what that means is it's going to be commercially supported, both factory ammo and reloading components. It's just right now, everybody's got resource constraints. The problem with brass is the shortage of copper. And that also describes the problem with bullets. Bullets use copper jackets typically, or they're all copper like the Barnes X. And brass, forgive me, copper is a component, it's alloyed to make brass for the cartridge cases. And that's one of the shortage of copper is one of the things that's really sort of handcuffing the manufacturers of ammunition. If they can't get the inputs, the raw materials, they can't put out finished goods. So I haven't been able to find any unprimed brass or any of the Berger bullets that I want to shoot. And what that means is my work with the gun has been limited to factory ammo. And I've scored, I think, about 100 rounds of factory ammo, and I probably paid $220 a round for it. And again, we either pay the market price or we don't shoot. But what I'm unwilling to do is burn through 100 rounds of high dollar factory ammo to create once fired brass when I can't find the bullets. So that has to wait. So I'm just delighted with the build. I'm delighted with the rifle's potential. I have nothing but praise. I hope that my experience with this has been insightful, that it jumpstarts you or keeps you from making goofy mistakes like not getting an adjustable comb. Now, if you didn't build this for long range, if you put a low power variable optic on it, like a Leupold 1-6 or something like that, you would not need an adjustable comb because you wouldn't have a big objective lens. But I had to raise the comb to accommodate the 50mm bell and the fact that it had to be on a mount that was 1.375 above the center line of the bore. So my sense was I had to go down the road of an adjustable comb, and I already had really good experiences with the Magpul PRS on another long rifle. So, excuse me, please. Again, hope it's been beneficial. Wish you every good success, and love you. See y'all soon.